Malaysia's opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim has met with the country's king to say he has the parliamentary majority needed to replace Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin. It's not the first time Mr Ibrahim has tried to secure power, and it's not clear if he has the numbers necessary to govern. For more on this, I'm joined from Hobart by Professor James Chin, Director of the Asia Institute at the University of Tasmania. Welcome, Professor Chin. What has Anwar Ibrahim had to say about this meeting today?
So he's going to hold a press conference at 4 p.m. Malaysian time. And what I expect him to say was basically he will tell the audience that he met the king. He's passed his list of MPs who are supporting the king. And other than that, the whole affair is really in the king's hands now. So basically, moving forward, the king has to do several things. The first, obviously, is the king has to look through the list very, very carefully. And for the MPs who are planning to defect to Anwar, I suspect the king will actually call them in one by one to make sure that they are really planning to defect to Anwar. Secondly, I expect the king to call all the leaders of all the political parties to come together to discuss the political crisis facing the country. And of course, the king must consult the prime minister. Right now, the prime minister of Malaysia is under quarantine, so we have to wait until the quarantine is over before he speaks to the prime minister. After that, the king also will probably consult his fellow sultans. The unique thing about the Malaysian system is that the king is not a permanent king. In Malaysia, the king only serves for 5 years before the position is rotated among the other 9 sultans. So he cannot make the decision alone about the Prime Minister of Malaysia.
So at this point, even if presented with the majority numbers, the king can't be sure of the number. Even Anwar Ibrahim can't exactly be sure, given that it's not legally binding, is it? I mean, people can change their minds.
Yes, it's very common for MPs to change their mind. There's a group of MPs in Malaysia, you might call them floating MPs. They'll see which way the wind is blowing and they'll try to go with the winner. So if they think that Anwar is going to be the next prime minister, they'll definitely move to Anwar's corner. Right now, of course, Anwar has the momentum, but over the next few days, things may change. If you remember, in the second regime change that happened in March this year, initially Mahathir Mohamad had the momentum. At the very last minute, Muhyiddin Yassin moved in, and in the end, Muhyiddin became the prime minister.
So if satisfied, the king will call an election, though?
It's difficult because Malaysia is suffering from COVID-19. And I think the general consensus in Malaysia is that if he were to allow a general election to go ahead, this will be a disaster for the country, especially in terms of COVID-19. They actually just recently had a state election on the Borneo state of Sabah. And what happened was that after the week of elections, they found that COVID has really come back in a big way. So it is quite clear that if you were to hold a general elections now, basically inviting another wave of COVID-19. And I don't think the Malaysian economy can afford to take another hit by COVID.
Professor James Chin, Director of the Asia Institute at the University of Tasmania, thank you for your time. Let's check in on the weather now with Graham Creed.